Saturday, June 7th is the first big night of racing at MGM Northfield Park this year. 16 races on the card for Battle of Lake Erie night, the $200,000 race. We have free PPs in live video by checking out the QR code on your screen. And we brought along Matt Rose to discuss this race. And we're going to stick to just this race tonight, Matt, because it really is a great field.
Yeah, on paper, this is one of the best fields that assembled that we've seen in a long time. So kudos to the race office for putting together, like I said, on paper, what could turn out to be a great show. Nice mix of a couple local horses, some local drivers, which is nice to see. Top to bottom, a strong case to be made for every horse, and it's a fun race to try to dissect.
Yeah, with some of the outsiders, we'll call them, not coming in, and mostly local drivers driving in this race. Usually, there tends to be a little bit more action when the Ohio guys get in there.
Well, aside from the Brett Millers and Chris Pages and Jeremy Smiths and Dan Nobles of the world, it's interesting. We have Kurt Sugg picks up a catch drive. Aaron Merriman, the leading driver for the last 120 years at Northfield. Chris Lems picking up a drive on a live speedster, Trace H. Hanover. Interesting, Merriman was listed on 3 horses, the 1, 2, and 7. He went with 7 colors, which I found kind of interesting. Maybe there's an owner or trainer connection there or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I did find that interesting because he's also listed on Duncan from the Rail and Trace H. Hanover.
Well, we're going to start off with the morning line favorite in here, which is By the Missile. And we're going to take a look at the Joe Auger Memorial from a couple weeks ago with By the Missile, Mosel Ben, and Duncan. By the Missile, you'll see here, is on the lead. And you're going to find from the back of the pack comes Mosel Ben and Duncan are going to come charging late, just a little too late, Matt.
Oh, yeah, this is a crazy finish. As you can see, they're like eight across the track, but By the Missile dug in nicely. Once he made the front, dug in nicely over a surprise long shot who ran second, who ended up with a pocket trip. But you saw like a cavalry charge. Mosel Ben, who, the only kind of criticism that we've come with, that comes along with this horse is he hasn't shown any early speed, and his lack of early foot sometimes leaves him too far back, which is exactly what happened in the Auger at Philly. And Duncan is what a story Duncan is. We've touched on this horse in the past, and we'll get to him a little bit soon. But yeah, another one with late pace. The whole field was separated by like 3 lengths or so. But the important thing is By the Missile back? By all indications, yes, he is.
Yeah, I think By the Missile is certainly back. There's no doubt about that. The challenge here for him is going to be getting to the front and being able to hold off horses when he's probably going to be pressured pretty far. Mosel Ben's final half in the Auger was 52-4. That's pretty impressive at Harris, Philadelphia, I have to say. There were other stakes on that. Well, not really stakes. There were invitational races and stuff on that card. And a number of these horses come out of them. 7 Colors and Desperate Man were both in the Send It In Invitational, which went for $50,000, half the price of the Auger. And they finished 1-2. We're going to take a look at that video now where Desperate Man is going to be on the lead. 7 Colors is going to try to make a bid to the outside, but just come up a little bit short, Matt.
Yeah, these 2 horses dominated the wagering in this race, and they've dominated the action on the racetrack. And it's a good finish with Desperate Man, arguably the classier of the 2 horses over the last year or so. Able to dig in and hold on. It's not a ton to really take out of that race, other than they're 2 sharp horses that are coming into this race now back onto a half-mile track from realistic posts. So it'll be interesting how aggressive Matt Kakaley is with Desperate Man. We know he's had his braking issues and some bad luck. Does he get to the lead here? I don't know. It's difficult to say. It's hard to say what kind of trips any of these horses are going to get because it might not end up shaping up the way we think.
One of these things about Desperate Man is that we've seen, like last time, he left pretty strong, 26-2 to get the lead on a 5H track, but it starts at Yonkers. Even when he was on the lead, he never really gets off the gate really strong. He kind of lets them go and then makes a quick brush.
Yeah, which might not be possible in this scenario in this race, because obviously you have the short run to the first turn. You have by the missile, Chris Page wants to get out near the front. I don't know how much speed Duncan has to be able to protect the rail. 7 Colors with Merriman, Ken Hanover with Brett Miller, and I think Chase H. Hanover might be the strongest pure speed horse in the race. I mean, he's just like a lifetime speedster. And I wonder if he's fast enough to. I think it'll be awesome to see if he's fast enough to maybe loop this field into the first turn. That would be quite an accomplishment. I think if he's able to do that, that sets him up with a great shot here. But that it kind of leaves a horse like Mosel Ben or maybe Ken Hanover, if he can't cross over the inside 2 horses, especially with the trailer kind of left in no man's land. But should be quite a scrum into the first turn. And I'm not even 100% sure if and when By the Missile ever even makes the top.
You just mentioned Ken Hanover, and Ken Hanover actually raced on that card too in another race, which was an open. We're going to take a look at that video right now. And what's interesting to me here is that he's on the lead here, goes wire to wire, goes in 1:48 and 3, right, which was faster than By the Missile or Desperate Man went on the same card.
Right. I mean, that was just a wicked back half off a rated 55 half. This guy very quietly has went over the $700,000 mark in career earnings. And that's only with 15 starts, let's say, over the last year and a half or so. He's another one coming into this race in great form, but also maybe has a little something to prove also. Because he definitely is a step up, I think, to the top level, so to speak. So I think he might have to come up with definitely a career effort, I think, to beat these, or at least, to be in the top 2, I think.
I kind of look at him a little bit differently as a horse that maybe, didn't have the best 4-year-old campaign. Some horses, just can't hack it at 4 versus the older horses. And maybe this is a horse that's on the improve as a 5-year-old who's ready to really show himself. I mean, he did go 47 and change last year, and those worrying about whether or not, he can handle the smaller track. He won an elimination of the Little Brown Jug in 1:48 and 4. So the speed is definitely there, and he could definitely handle the smaller track. Last year, we saw a horse come from 6th to win this race, and he's in the field again. He has post position number 8, and he's having another good season, 4 for 5 on the year. We're going to take a look at one more video, which is Little Rocket Man winning his last race at Hoosier. And I ask you, do we take out of this the fact that he's almost getting caught late? Is that a negative, or this is just Little Rocket Man and he just knows where the wire is, Matt?
I would say at this point in his career, he didn't have to be extended all that much. Doesn't look like the catch driver Mike Oosting is pleading with him all that much. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any negative to take out of that race. The negative going into this race is the 8-hole, obviously. And you know what? If you caught Little Rocket Man last year at a nice price, you're going to get another big price here from a horse that's probably in an impossible spot with an uphill climb. I mean, he would have to. He might be 4th over here. Never sees the rail. 5th over. I don't think he can leave and really, improve position at all. So it's unfortunate that. He's still good enough, and he gets invited back to this race as a defending champion, and he gets stuck in the 8-hole. But somebody's got to be in the 8-hole. It's unfortunate, though.
It's kind of funny that you're going to get 25, 30 to 1 maybe on a horse that was 1 to 9, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 2, yeah. 1 to 5. So it's kind of interesting. The only horse we haven't touched on in the race is Helium, who's a local horse, kind of from Scioto Downs, who's been doing pretty good work in the open, and maybe he could play with these, Matt.
A local horse via Down Under, who has been really, I'm speechless at how good this horse has been through 5 starts here, 4 for 5 with a narrow second. And I mean, have we even seen the best from Helium N? I don't know. I mean, this horse could be even better for the barn of Christy Noble and driver Dan Noble. This is a very interesting horse. He really is. And is he in a position where he can get a favorable trip from the second tier. Maybe he ends up mid-pack or gets away 5th or 6th, but is able to maybe shift to the outside early on. I think we've seen him on the front end. We've seen him close. We've seen him be versatile. We may not have seen the bottom yet. He might have even more to offer for a horse that did not have a great record down under, relative to other horses. But boy, he's been a killer so far.
With as wide open as this race looks on paper, and I think most people would agree that there really isn't a horse in this race that would end up winning that we would say, oh my God, there's just no way
Right.
that horse could have won. With as wide open as this race is, it's kind of interesting that ultimately we're going to put our picks up on the screen. We both landed on the same horse, and I'm guessing we landed on the same horse for the reason that we're looking, this race is going to develop with quite a bit of early speed, and Mosel Ben seems to be a horse, at least in my opinion, that can take some air. He's proven over a half-mile track and might be able to take advantage. I mean, 6th back, the horse that won it last year was in 6th. The horse before that, Lochinvar Art, came off cover. The horse before that, Fun on the Beach, was 7th, coming around the turn. So clearly this is a race that has plenty of action usually.
How about the success of the connections, Jordan Stratton, Peter Tritton, and then we saw in the Tritton family, we saw Shane and Lauren Tritton 2 years ago with Lochinvar Art. So these connections know plenty about winning here, that's for sure. And like I mentioned, the only thing we haven't seen for this very talented New Zealand bred is that we haven't seen him be able to push off the gate. And I think that Jordan Stratton is savvy enough from the mid-pack post that he's going to be able to push forward enough to not get totally lost in no man's land. In the auger, he had the 7 hole, and we knew that Ruthless Hanover had the 8 and was going to be firing. I was going to leave Mosel Ben last with too far to come. I don't see him last, obviously. I see him getting away 4th or 5th on moving early. And whether or not he's out the mile, I think out the mile with or without cover, I think he's just talented enough, if close enough, that he can literally just grind these horses down, no matter how fast or how slow they go on the front end. And I really do like this horse in this spot. 3rd choice on the morning line at 4-1. Who do you think is a favorite here? Do you think he goes off the favorite?
No, I think By the Missile. By the Missile is going to be the favorite. There's no doubt in my mind, and I think probably Desperate Man is probably going to be 2nd choice.
Unless people are scared off by what they witnessed last year with Desperate Man, who made an incredible recovery, but still, I don't know. Is By the Missile going to be overbet just because of like reputation, name recognition? I don't know, but I do know that I do like I do like Mosel Ben. Pretty strong opinion here. I like By the Missile to just outclass the rest of these to be 2nd, and I'm definitely going to use the 9 Helium in my tickets, just like a curiosity play, who I think has the capability of being versatile enough to come from anywhere. And Chase H. Hanover, who was listed at 21 morning line, like I said, he's probably the biggest pure speed horse in this race, and it wouldn't shock me if he was able to get to the front or near the front with a great burst of speed off the gate. But I don't know if I necessarily want to agree with you on something, but we are both in agreement with Mosel Ben here.
Looking at my underneath numbers, I went with Ken Hanover in the 2nd spot. I really do think this is a horse that's starting to improve, starting to feel himself at age 5, and I do like him a lot in this spot. I just don't know how the trip's going to work out for him.
Is he going to clear the 2 inside horses and be the first one to the lead? Do you think?
I just don't know. That's the only thing stopping me from picking Ken Hanover on top, is I just don't know what kind of trip he's going to get in this particular race. It's a tricky race. He's also getting a new driver. Not that Brett Miller isn't as good as Dave Miller or whatever, but more of strategy wise, you haven't been sitting behind the horse. Yeah, you haven't been sitting behind the horse.
Right.
If I'm playing, there's a $25,000 estimated pick for it that starts in this race. I'm using the Ken Hanover and Mosel Ben only on my ticket. Not because I don't like By the Missile, who I clearly picked 3rd. I do like him. I really think he's going to end up being like 6-5 in this spot. And I just don't see how you can take a horse that's going to, take that much money. Now, if he's 5-2 and you want to use him, by all means,
Yeah,
but I think he's going to take a little bit more action than maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I do disagree a little bit, but it should be interesting. That's how, we'll see come post time, or when we look at the wheel page, or how we think the wager is going to end up. But yeah, obviously you don't want to take that. You don't want to take a short price on anybody here, because, like I said, on paper, you could look at this race 75 different ways. We really don't know how this race is going to shape up, which makes it, really, really, really interesting, and event really worth looking forward to.
Well, it's a huge card at Northfield on Saturday. There's 16 races. The action starts at 6 o'clock. Matt will be there live, and as he knows, he'll be there till at least midnight or later. I'm certain.
11:59 p.m. most
Yeah.
likely.
Lots of sire stakes action on the card. I think there's like 7 or 8 sire stakes races on the card. We have an invitational for the Ohio bred mares, which is nice. So really great action surrounding the $200,000 Battle of Lake Erie. Get free harness IPPs for the entire card. Watch the action live. Play it on DRF bets. Good luck.